Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome once again to the mess hall here at Dr. Jet Laboratories. Today we're going to take a blast from the past because I have some new information. Now, everybody by now knows that I like small boats for a number of reasons. The primary reason, they're cheap. The cost of toys kind of goes up as the volume, so it's a cube factor. So something like this costs $1, something like this costs $9, something like this costs $27. You know, it goes up real fast. So keeping them small keeps them cheap. Do you folks remember the JetStepper? This was loosely based on a design Jay Turner did a long time ago, and I've sort of modified it for a smaller purpose. There are videos, I might post a link, of this thing running, and it runs really well for what it is. It's a little tiny boat that will run in a little tiny area. You could race this in a swimming pool, and it's rugged enough to survive. Remember, it's just built out of foam. One of the questions, and in fact I made this a challenge, and nobody seemed to be able to meet the challenge, was to find a motor. I don't like the antenna rubbing on that. Is to find a motor that would work in this boat. And I looked and tried all sorts of things, and I found this little outrunner. It is a 2204. So it's a real small outrunner with a KV of 2,300 RPM per volt. They can also be found in 1,200 RPM per volt and 1,400 RPM per volt. But the 23, which is this, has been out of production for a while. So I think I finally found where I can get some of these. So here's a question. I can mass produce these bits of foam because I have templates to cut them, and I can probably get my hands on a dozen of these motors. They'll probably be about $20. Get a load of that. The most expensive thing in here is the motor, and it's $20. So if anybody's interested in kits for this thing, I might be able to put together a dozen or so kits. And it just uses, your standard little micro rudder you can get on anywhere. It uses a 26 millimeter prop you can get from Offshore Electric, Steve Vaccaro there. A simple drive shaft with a 2 millimeter shaft. You can either source that yourself or I could source it. And for a coupler, this thing has worked just fine. It's a piece of fuel tubing, silicone fuel tubing. Slides over the 3 millimeter shaft, and I took a 3 millimeter brass tube and put a wheel collar on it for this other end. So you could basically, with simple tools, you could make all this stuff yourself, or I could supply it. But the big thing is the motor and the plans. And I have those. Or if you want, I can cut the foam and such. So let me know what you think. Post me a note in the comments and we'll see. But the JetStepper is going to get revived again. I mean, it's ready to go. It just needs a battery. So look for this coming around. And what a hoot these things are to race. Anyway, until next time, Jet out.